welcome to another edition of Strategic Moves with Lou. I'm Mike Hendren. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Wichita Falls, Texas with Strategic Real... No, she's not. Clearly she's not. That's Lou Italis. She is the owner-broker of Strategic Realty here in Wichita Falls, Texas. How's your week been?
Oh, it's just flown by like a freaking... It just goes by so quickly. By the time...
We have just about burned up another year.
Yeah, exactly. By the time I figure out what I'm doing for the week, it's already the end.
Oh yeah, yeah. You look up, it's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are at the end of October recording this episode, and
Trunk or treat. Oh, we got to remind everybody about trunk or treat.
Yeah,
Sunday.
So trunk or treat Sunday at Strategic Realty, 4200 Fairway Boulevard.
Yep. Come and get some treats, and if you want to put your trunk there, you can come and give out candy if you don't want to do it at home. Or
if you're here in the local area, if you can find the intersection of Fairway and Caulfield Road, we are southwest of that intersection, kind of catty corner from it.
If you're old as dirt, then you know what the meat market is.
Yes,
we're on the old meat market.
Yeah. I think that was McWhorter's or something years and years ago, a long time ago. All the old beef has been cleared out now.
Yeah, there's no meat there anymore.
No, not anymore. No, it's all.
At least not an uncooked meat.
Yes, it's. The place smells very pleasant.
Yes,
it does. So anyway, that's Trunk or Treat this Sunday, Halloween night. Starting at what time?
6 to 9.
6 to 9. Okay, cool. 6 to 9.
And we've been doing it, and I think this is going to be year 4.
Oh, okay.
So we've been doing it for a while. The first year we did a haunted house trunk or treat.
Yeah.
But the last couple of years we haven't been able to do that, or maybe it's year 3. I don't know. Everything goes by so quickly. But last year the couple of years we couldn't do it because of COVID, obviously. So and the school couldn't do the haunted house. But eventually we will do the haunted house again, because that is something that is neat. It's cool. It's free for the kiddos, and it lets the drama department over at Ryder kind of go crazy and get all those. Get all those creative juices out.
Exactly. Well, and pretty soon it won't be Ryder anymore. In a couple of years, it'll be a different school altogether. Got two brand new high schools being built here.
Sad.
Yeah, it's a little sad. Yeah, it is. But two brand new high schools. The first time in more than 55 years that a new high school has been built in Wichita Falls. The last. I think the last new high school campus, I'm unclear if it was Hershey or Booker T. Washington. It was one of the other, and I can't remember which came first. I want to say Booker T. Washington.
I would think
was
that was the first one.
Was the last one that was built. It was the most recent one, which would have been the mid-1960s.
Yeah, see, that was way before my time.
Oh, me too. But prior to that, I think Hershey was in 62. And Booker T. Washington, I think, was built in 64, 65. And then, so at one time, we had 4 high schools in Wichita Falls. Yeah, Wichita Falls High School, Ryder High School, Hershey High School, Booker T. Washington High School.
So then what happened to Booker T?
The Fed shut it down, desegregation. They shut because it was on the east side of Wichita Falls, which was a predominantly black population. And they wanted to integrate the other schools, so the feds, a federal judge, actually ordered the school shut down. As I understand the story, they ordered the school shut down and ordered the busing of all of those students equally between the other high schools, and or as equally as they could. Obviously there's some size constraints. You can't put everybody in one place necessarily. So they as equally as they could, they bus the students around town to the other high schools.
And this was when, back in the 60s?
Like 71, 72, I think, is when that happened. It seemed like early 70s is when I seem to remember hearing about this happening. I didn't hear about it in the early 70s because I was just born in the early 70s. But anyway, it happened, I want to say 70, 71, 72, somewhere along in there. And then the school was shut down for a very long time, and then reopened as an elementary school a number of years later.
That's what I was going to say, is that I remember Booker T being an elementary school.
It was reopened as an elementary school, but Booker T. Washington, I am told, was the first high school in the city to have central air conditioning, to have carpeted floors.
So it was a nice school.
It was pretty plush. For its time, it was plush.
Bougie. It was a little bougie.
For the day, it was. It was, they kind of they went over and above on amenities and things like that to make it really nice, and then it gets shut down. And many years ago, I knew a fellow. He had been a student. He was a teenager going to that high school when it was open. And he said they were so angry when it got shut down because it was their school and it was the nicest one in town.
They were proud of it.
And they got it shut down.
Yeah.
It's like, they were. He said a lot of people were very upset.
It's probably for the best, though. Because then it, helped with racism here in this town.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was the goal, but
it was pretty.
But the people, for the individuals
separate.
that used that used that high school, the families that had students there, it was like kind of a blow to them. They really apparently there was a lot of resentment over shutting it down the way that they did. It was very abrupt. Apparently, it was very abrupt and very sudden, and it was like, here's a court order, lock the doors, move everybody, and move them now. And it was not like a transition thing. It just happened.
I could say something a little bit like maybe it was the white folk in the town didn't want the black people to have such nice things or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's like what the first thing that comes to mind.
No,
is like,
from my understanding,
they got jealous and they were like, "Oh, let's just go shut them down."
No, from my understanding, it was it was a federal decision to do that.
Yeah.
But now here we are. You fast forward, 55 plus years later, and we're finally building 2 brand new high schools in the city. And all of the other high schools will be shut down, and will ultimately, at least 2 of the 3 ultimately will become junior high schools.
And they need a lot more junior high schools in this area because, McRider, McNeil is just way overcrowded.
Bar-wise is busting at the seams.
Yeah. I remember Samantha when she first started going to McNeil. I mean, she was one of, I think, 800 students.
Oh, yeah.
From 7th. And all they had was 7th and 8th grade there.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine how full they are now with 6th graders in there.
Yeah, it really is. It's a huge, the population distribution is kind of crazy. But there's a lot more plans for the schools here. And all of this ties into real estate this way. The hope here is that by building new high schools, that we're going to encourage more families to locate here, raise their families here, educate their kids here, and that in turn is going to bolster our economy and bolster our numbers, because
it'll mean that we need more houses.
We need more houses, and the population here has been very flat. Population growth has been pretty stagnant for the last 7-8 decades. I mean, it really has. You go back to the 1940s. As a matter of fact, there is a mural, again, for those of you locally. If you go to Market Street United, there's a mural on the wall, on the back wall in the dining area at Market Street. And it shows some people placing a new population sign just right at the city limits. And it shows Wichita Falls population, 96,000 and some change. And based on the vehicles in the picture, I'm going to say the picture was probably taken sometime in the late 1940s, post-World War II.
So you've still been around that same...
Right now, we're somewhere, I think personally, the census population apparently is going to come back somewhere around 105, 106. I think
we're... It just doesn't feel like that.
No, we have grown. The census numbers are skewed. I'm telling you, they're skewed. And all the mess that happened last year that just really messed things up a lot. It created some chaos, and it created, I think, some shortcomings in the count for various reasons. And I think our population is probably nearer 108 or 109, realistically. I think we're closer to 108, 109. We might even be closer to 110 than I think.
I think that we're closer to 110.
And I'm basing this on traffic counts, on the sales tax numbers have been consistently up.
The school numbers themselves.
Well, but you look at the traffic. I mean, so...
Do they count population as far as like every single live body?
So
people over 18.
I'm gonna drift off into this for just a second here. The way the census works is you either go online, you fill out a census questionnaire, or you fill out the one that they mail. They mail one out to
Right.
every household, and they don't concern themselves with whether that household is occupied or unoccupied. They just know we've got these numbers. Everybody gets a survey, and it costs a lot of money to send those surveys out.
They did it online.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, not everybody fills out the paper survey. Not everybody does the online survey. So then you get to a point where they start sending out what they call enumerators. Enumerators are the census workers that come to your door. They're wearing a badge that identifies that they work for the U.S. Department of Commerce Census Bureau, and they come to your door with some documents, and they ask you, and usually they'll have a device in their hand. I think this last time it was exclusively done on iPhones, and they come to your house and they'll ask you some questions. There are a lot of people that won't talk to them, that won't answer the door, or that will turn them away.
My question, though, is whenever they do the census count, because I don't even remember taking this. I mean, I remember maybe when I first came here in 2009, I did something of the census, but even then, I don't recall what I did.
Well,
Does it
2009
ask you
would
how
have.
many occupants you are, like how many are in your family?
They'll ask you the names, the dates of birth, ages. They'll ask you questions about race, ethnicity. They'll ask you questions about how many people live in the household.
So when they get that final count for the population, they're counting every live body.
Of the ones that responded.
Yeah.
You can only, in reality, they can estimate, and they do estimate some things, okay? They do. But in reality, you can only count the individuals. You can only count as many people as are willing to respond to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if people aren't responding to you, by virtue of that lack of response, you're going to undercount. So I think our population here is a little bit larger than what is actually documented to be. I think it is. I think we are a little bit, and I think also the numbers that came out most recently, Lou, were from May of 2020. So kind of at the height of the pandemic.
Right.
And the census work really wasn't happening then. It really didn't the enumeration part of it didn't get started in earnest until August of 2020. So it was late. And the original deadline for submission of the data, I think, was September 30. They moved that out to either the end of October or the end of November. I think it might have been the end of November.
Are still out and about.
So not now. No, it's all done now. I mean, they're done. The data, they've got what they've got. They've submitted it, and the data is being combed through, and numbers are starting to be released. And it'll still take a couple of years to work through all of this stuff. I mean, we're talking a country with 335 plus million people. It takes a while to comb through all this data. I think they could streamline the process a whole lot. I think they could. There's some information they're asking for that doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter. There's some data they're asking for that's redundant. There's some things they're asking for that just don't make sense. At the end of the day, what matters is how many people live in your country. How many people?
Are the genders, maybe? I don't know.
You know, I mean,
maybe that doesn't matter too much anymore.
Well, it really comes down to a head count. How many men, women, and children live in the country? The rest of it is really almost really not necessary, I think, in some ways. And I know there's plenty of arguments for why you should ask some of these questions. I get all that. I'm not going to get into that. But
no, that's all political shit.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
Yeah, it is political fodder, and I'm not going to get into all that. But at the same time, though, I think with the high schools, we are going to see a bump in population, potentially. How much that's going to be, but that means we're going to need to build more homes. We're going to need more homes on the market. We're going to need places for people to move to, and so home sales, by virtue of that increase, Lou, should go up.
I think that, well, I mean, everything is kind of in flux right now because we're waiting for what the REO market is going to do. How is that going to really affect our market? Yeah. in the real life?
And so we're talking about
until that kind of goes back into swing. Yeah. It's kind of hard to forecast what the rest of the market is going to do until that comes back.
So we're talking about foreclosures.
Yes.
And there was a moratorium on foreclosures for year and a half, you couldn't do anything. And now that moratorium has been allowed to expire at last. But now the banks still, all the lenders still have to comb through all of this information and still have to there's a mountain of work that they have to do on their end before it ever gets to the point of a home being auctioned off on the courthouse steps.
Because the foreclosures have been turned off for so long. It's been, 2 years now?
Almost.
It usually, when they start a foreclosure process, it takes about 6 months before it actually completely forecloses on. So, I mean, we're not talking about tomorrow it being like, it's going to flood the market. It's going to take some time for all that to trickle down.
Well, you got to figure that all of these lenders and banks, and credit unions, and everybody that's involved in this, they haven't touched any of this stuff in months now. There's a lot that has not happened, and so now they've got. Any one of them could have a stack of, 50 or 100 or maybe 20 or whatever they've got. It's just going to take time to get through all of it. Yeah. And so some of that property will come on the market eventually. But, your hope for your community is that you grow, you increase in size, and you have to build more homes. You got some construction going on the northwest side of Wichita Falls right now.
To have more. I think we're going to get another 16 houses built over there.
Yeah. Now, how's that going to work over there? Are they going to build on the other side of Loop 11? And we're talking for those of you local here.
No, not on the other side of Loop 11. We're just going to continue to build back on between Loop 11 and Beverly.
North Beverly. So that's going to require building additional roads.
Yeah, we're
going
to put some more roads in there. We're going to put some more neighborhoods in there. We're going to probably do some, I don't know if we're going to have any commercial stuff over there, but we might do like a little strip mall of some sort.
Well, I know it is zone limited commercial.
Yeah, convenience stores and maybe a little food court or something, for the neighbors in that area.
This was agricultural land for forever. It's always been agricultural land, and it's been in wheat cultivation for probably 70, 80 years or more. And then a few years ago, it was sold. It was owned by a foundation for a number of years, and then it was sold, and then I think sold yet again. and so now finally, after many, many years of these are brand new homes on land that has not had a house sitting on it in probably a century.
We still have to develop that whole entire area, so the development stage of it still hasn't gotten done. We're still getting through the 16 houses that we're building right now, and then after that we'll assess the situation.
Well, there's utilities that have to be installed.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that's involved.
You've got to,
and city planners are going to have to get involved, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For right now, we're just concentrating on the 12 that we get, the 16 that we're still finishing up.
That's a whole other story. They're working with the city. That's a whole other topic.
Such a nightmare, yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way.
It's definitely not easy.
It should not be that way.
It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
Let me see. We got a couple of things coming up. Like we talked about earlier, we got trunk or treat, and then with the holidays coming up, we're also gearing up for the holidays. From the office perspective, we've got some pie giveaways to do, and we got lots of stuff going on.
We got Thanksgiving. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up.
Yeah, we've got Thanksgiving and Christmas. There was something that I was going to talk about, but I just can't even. Oh wait.
Well, I know one thing we are going to talk about. Just we need to, because I don't think we mentioned. Did we mention the other video series yet?
Oh no, yeah, we started a new series or new year. We're just going to do a new podcast video type thing. Not on the radio so much, but we're just so if you want to take a look at it, you'll have to go to Facebook or YouTube or find us on your broadcast podcast type of thing. But it's me and Dinah in my kitchen, and I order these meals. It's called Every Meal. And and I'll post the website out there if you guys want to get some information about it. But they send me a box with 4 different meals already in the box, like all the ingredients and everything are already in the box.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go grocery shopping, which is fantastic because I hate shopping. But so I get 4 meals every week delivered to my house, and all I need to do is cook it.
Okay.
So I decided, you know what? Let's just, for funsies, let's cook this. Let's cook some of the, and there's 4 different meals every single week. So, I got to pick.
Did you just say funsies?
Yes, I said funsies, just for funsies.
Okay.
I'm going to cook a meal, and then Dinah's going to join me, and she's doing some research on a specific state. So every week we're going to go across America, and we're going to talk about what it takes to become a real estate agent in that state. And we're going to locate some sort of real estate related crime in that state. So we already had a couple of episodes. We're still testing it out, so just bear with us.
Okay.
I'm recording in my kitchen, so it's going to take a while for us to get it, just right.
So at any point, do you sing "Someone's in the Kitchen with Dinah"?
No.
Oh, maybe you should.
Oh, I'll
You
tell Dinah about that. But every once in a while, my grandbaby will pop up in the video.
So explain to us who Dinah is.
Dinah is our office assistant.
Right. Because the audience doesn't know that. They don't know who Dinah.
Okay.
They don't know who Dinah is. I know who Dinah is.
Okay.
You know who. They don't know who
Dinah
is.
is my assistant. So she's going to come over to the house, and we're going to cook a meal. I'm going to be cooking, and she's going to be doing research and talking about the different cases. And that's how we kind of worked it out so that we can do both at the same time.
So it's cooking,
real estate, and crime.
and real estate and crime. Okay. And how and somehow the two all are married into one another in some way.
Well, it's a conversation, and I don't know if it's so much married to each other, but it's a conversation that.
Well, you might come across a crime where a guy bought a house and cooked the victim or something. I don't know.
Ooh.
That's kind of
Maybe.
gross, but I
Yuck.
mean it's.
You never know. I mean, we've
It's-
come across a couple of really cool, not cool,
Yeah.
but really interesting cases that I had.
Oh,
one of them I had heard about, but
Yeah.
a couple of them I hadn't.
Yeah.
So you heard about that guy, the 80-year-old man that bought a house sight unseen,
Mhm.
and then wanted to give it back, wanted a refund.
Wanted a
When he got
refund.
to the house, when he finally got to the house, he
Uh-huh.
wanted a refund. So he called up his real estate agent to come give him a refund. Well, the real estate agent goes to his house, and he winds up getting murdered
By the 80-year-old guy.
by the 80-year-old man
Wow.
because he wouldn't give him his refund.
That's not how this works, folks. And that's what I would have told him over the phone.
Yeah.
That's not how this works, man.
Mm-hmm. But he bought the house sight unseen, so it's a buyer's beware, and a real estate beware. I mean, it's a cautionary tale for both parties.
Which brings the reason. Every single person that I talk to about a house, I tell them, get a home inspection done.
Right. That's what
Every
I wonder.
single.
Like,
I
why
don't.
did he not get an? Did he not get? I don't know if I didn't really call the real estate company where this happened and get more details, which I should have done.
Yeah.
But you would think that. I mean, he was 84 years old, so I understand, and he was coming from Alabama.
Yeah.
So there's already, and he's moving to Virginia of all places. I mean, that's the whitest town ever. But going from Alabama to Virginia, relocating, and he buys this house sight unseen, $125,000. How much can you expect for $125,000?
Well, in this day and age, not much. But here's
And
the
this
thing,
was
though.
like 3 months ago.
I don't care. And as real estate agents, we can't make you pay to have the home inspected. We can't force you to do it. But we strongly recommend it.
Suggest it. Stomp.
And I don't care if it's $100,000 house or $1 million house. In fact, I think the more you pay for it, the more critical it is to get the inspection
done.
done.
Diligence. You have to do it. If not, then it just creates all kinds of
Oh my
risk.
gosh!
But apparently he wanted his money back. He wanted to give the house back to the real estate company, and the gentleman that sold him the house went over to the house and wound up getting shot by the homeowner.
Yeah.
And then the homeowner shot himself after the police got there. But
Wow.
still, yeah. So that's what I'm saying is that with a little bit of research, we're finding some really interesting cases in other states. We'll see how it works.
I'll put on my Second Amendment constitutional guy hat here for a minute. Learn how to shoot, get trained, and carry, and do it legally.
As a real estate agent?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I I hear that all the time, and I
As
I
a
fully
citizen,
support
as
you. I
as
fully support you.
as
but
anybody,
me,
as anybody.
yeah, me personally, I cannot. I don't deal with guns very well.
Yeah.
I
I
just
just
I find that they're way too. To me, I just find that they're way too easy to kill somebody with, and I just I have no desire to be anywhere around them.
it's the reason why I tell people you get trained, get training. If you're going to carry a firearm, get trained. I grew up around it. I've been around my whole life.
I didn't.
So I mean, we were taught from the time we were a foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a toy. It's a weapon. It's a firearm. It's dangerous. It will kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something to play with.
My son,
Period.
on the other hand, I mean, he's got his carry license. So I mean, he carries around
I do
a
too,
pistol on
so.
his hip all the time.
Yeah.
And he's got guns and stuff in
So
his
I'm-
house all the time.
see,
And
I'm
it
not-
terrifies the shit out of me
I'm-
because he's got my grandbaby at the house. But I learned to kind of like,
I'm not
sorry,
a big.
I didn't mean to.
I'm not a big fan of.
Potty mouth is coming out today. I don't know what the heck.
I'm not a big fan personally of open carry. And this is totally
I'm not
off the real
either.
estate topic, I know,
yeah.
but I'll just tell you. Well, because I feel like the element of surprise is on your side if you don't do that. So I'm not a big fan of. I don't oppose it. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm just not a big fan of it. I personally.
Well, he's got one of those guns that he keeps on his hip, but it's locked to the point where nobody can even take it off of his hip.
Yeah, they make holsters that will lock the pistol in place,
Yeah,
so
it
someone
does
can't
not-
just walk up and
grab
it. Yeah,
no, nobody can pull it out of the holster. There's
it's-
like multiple things that have to happen, and I
Yes,
think
yes.
that is one of the reasons why he carries.
Yeah,
because
they're
there is
designed
no
and
risk of
purposely
somebody
that way.
just taking, and even if they were to take it out of his pocket or off of his belt buckle or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
they
most-
still can't get it off the case
Mo-
because I think it's like I think that he's got one that's fingerprint activated. So it's
yeah,
only, he's the only one that can take that gun out of that case.
Yeah, there's some. They make gun cases that are like that it actually reads all four of your fingers, and it has to in order to unlock the case to get to the gun.
So I feel a little bit safer about that, but I just don't like. I don't know. It's unrational, and I don't. I mean, it's kind of like my fear of crickets. It's not really, you know.
Well, you got to fear. Okay, so
Oh my
all right. Well,
gosh.
let me ask you: how many times have you gone into a house? How many times have you walked into a house that was infested with insects?
Several times, and I just walk right back out.
I know. I showed one here locally several months ago that another agent's listing, but someone called me and I showed them the property, and we walked in. You drive up to the house and it doesn't look that bad, and then we walk in and whoever lived here before literally just got up and walked away.
Yeah,
They just got up and walked away.
it happens.
But the place had been obviously broken into. It had been vandalized. It had been trashed. And there were things crawling literally everywhere. I mean, you leave a place like that feeling like you need a bath, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. My irrational fear comes from Second Monday. Have you ever gone to Second Monday?
Oh, yeah.
Over in Bowie?
Yes.
There was, I can't remember what year it was, but it was like in 2011, 2012 or something when we had that infestation of crickets and grasshoppers.
Yes.
And so my sister-in-law, she's a crafty individual, and Natalie Allen, if you look her up on Facebook, she's got all kinds of crafty stuff that's like famous. But she used to come down from Oklahoma City and stay with me for the weekend on the weekend or the day before Second Monday, and we would go to Second Monday and put up our little tent on Friday, and then come back on Saturday and do our stay there for 2 days or whatever, and do our sell her crafty stuff. Well, that year that we did it. When we got there, we set it all up, and it was like one of those actual tents that has walls and stuff like that. So you close it all up, and then we got back on Saturday and opened it all up. Well, we opened up the zipper, and then we started moving things around, and I picked up a lid, and underneath the lid was like 1,000 black, nasty, cockroach-looking crickets. And they just went all over the place. And 2 women in this little tiny tent, and we're screaming bloody murder because these crickets are jumping all over us. And, I mean, we were like a couple of little Barbie dolls or something, screaming in. I mean, it was hilarious because we're not girly at all. Me and Natalie are not girly for the most part at all. And so for us to be girly,
Wow.
it takes a lot, and that's what it took.
Wow.
So we wind up like jumping out of the tent and like
Just not.
practically like taking all of our clothes off because they're all over us. And I mean, it took us a while to clean out all the crickets out of that tent.
Now, Lou, this is a family show.
Oh, no. We didn't get like naked or anything at Second Monday because that would have been news, I promise you. No, but
it would have been news, all right.
Yeah, it would have been news. But we wound up.
Boy.
I mean, and that whole day, those 2 whole days, I was terrified because every time you walked out into the grass, it was just like crickets.
And grasshoppers.
And grasshoppers.
There, yeah.
It was like parting the Red Sea of nasty. It was just horrible. It was horrible. And then I had to go to the bathroom because, you're at Second Monday in the middle of summer and it's hot and you're drinking water. And I had to go to the bathroom. And that bathroom over there was just that concrete room or whatever. And I walked in there and there was crickets on every single freaking surface. They were all over the place. There was dead ones, there was live ones, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to go to the bathroom. So I wound up sitting there going, don't splash, don't splash, don't splash.
I don't even know how we got here.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, literally in my head, I'm like going, if anything hits me, I'm going to be running out of this bathroom and with my, with my panties down by my ankles, and I don't care.
Well, there's
okay. It was horrible. So ever since then, my blood pressure just cannot handle crickets. I just can't handle it.
I see them and all I
push you
think
out of the way to get away from a cricket.
I see crickets and grasshoppers and all I think is, ooh, catfish bait. So anyway, well, we're going to wrap it up. We're out of time now.
That's my irrational feel. That's why I have an irrational feel of crickets. So I've gone to houses before where I had to go and do an inspection or something, and I walk outside, and all of a sudden all the crickets go everywhere, and I'm like, nope. I get back in my car, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. Mandy, my other assistant that does a lot of the REOs with me, I just call her up and be like, nope, Mandy, it's all you, not me. I'm out of here.
She didn't need to commission that bad anyway.
No.
Anyway, all right, we're out of time. So we'll be back with another episode of Strategic Moves with Lou.
Maybe.
If we
Unless
don't,
we get kicked off the radio.
If we get canceled, Anyway, thanks for being with us. Again, the office.
Next week we'll talk about what we didn't talk about this week.
Yes, we will. Whatever that was.
Title fraud.
Yeah. Well.
Because we were supposed to talk about that, but we didn't.
What she said. So we'll get into that. So anyway, the phone number to the office is 940-689-7900. The website is strategicrealty.net. So if you're looking to buy, sell, we want to be your agent. One of us. I mean, there's several.
No.
of us.
You can be the agent.
Right. Me?
I'm the broker.
Okay. Yeah. Well, she's the broker. There's several of us agents, though.
Oh, yes.
That's what I mean.
We've got an office full that can help you. So
yes.
if Mike is not available, then we can definitely assist you.
Actually, better yet, just call me and don't call anybody else. Just come straight to me. Just come straight to me. 940-232-3876 is my direct line.
There you go.
That's how you get a hold of me.
There you go.
There you go. Until next time, take care. We'll see you down the road.
Subscribe, like, and share.